You were taught from early childhood that there is a higher architect, someone who designed this reality, someone who placed the stars in their positions, glued the moon to the sky, and sorted good and evil into tidy shelves. We search for him in books, in temples, in ancient legends. We call him by many names: God, the universe, the absolute. And then one day you wake up, and for the first time you don't pray, you don't beg, you don't plead, you just look in the mirror and realize, it's you. The Creator is not above, He is within. You are not a guest in someone else's world. You are the architect of the scene. And when you look closer, nothing around you looks finished. This is not a museum where you can't touch the exhibits. This is a stage, and you are the one placing the props. You're not walking through someone else's building. You're adding new floors. Each day, each thought, each choice. And then, the things that used to seem random suddenly align. Why do birds have feathers, bears have fur, and we have nothing but skin and questions? Why do animals have built-in survival guides while we're left with doubt and freedom? Because animals live by a plan. Humans live by intention. We weren't given claws. We were given a script and a remote control. No map was embedded in us, but we were handed the ability to create maps. This is the clue. You are not a cog in a giant machine. You are the one building the machine, in real time. The world doesn't just exist. It responds to your gaze, your thought, your belief. And when you choose your thoughts not out of fear, but out of awareness, reality begins to obey. Quietly, gradually, precisely. This is what awakening is. Not meeting the Creator, but recognizing Him within yourself. If we're being honest, nature is a perfect tailor. Every creature gets a custom design. Birds get wings, hollow bones, and a compass in the chest. They can fly thousands of kilometers over oceans they've never seen, and still return home. No map, no GPS, no Wi-Fi. Mammals are given fur, color-shifting coats, and built-in thermal regulation. The Arctic fox and the hare turn white in winter and brown in summer. Not for fashion, but for survival. Fish that swim in icy waters have antifreeze in their blood. Not a metaphor, an actual protein that keeps them alive. Some frogs freeze completely in winter, like they're paused in a still frame. Then thaw in spring and hop away like nothing happened. All of this is pre-installed. Default settings. And now, look at humans. No fur, no claws, no fangs. Soft skin that burns in the sun, shivers in the cold. Organs exposed. No armor. Too slow to run, too weak to fight. Too dependent to survive alone. If a human were designed like an animal, they'd be rejected at the prototype stage. Unfit for survival. Delete. But here's the twist. We were never meant to fit into the food chain, because we are not a link in the chain. We are the ones who designed it. Humans weren't made to be part of the system. We were made to rewrite the system, not just to survive the forest, but to remake the forest itself, not just to endure the cold, but to learn how to command the weather, not to grow claws, but to invent tools sharper than any claw. Everything we lack in our bodies, we build with our minds. We are not a product of nature. We are an intervention into it. Nature had the tools to make us just another biomechanical creature, but it stopped halfway. No built-in weapons, no navigation system, no instruction manual. It looks like we were left unfinished. But that's not a mistake. That's the code. Nature left the human incomplete, because we are the ones who complete. Other species are handed everything up front. Fur, instinct, roots, the ability to survive. But we were given a mission. We were told, figure it out yourself. And we did. No language? We created one. No claws? We made knives. No fur? We invented fabric. No strength? We built tribes. No navigation? We made maps. No signals? We made agreements. We are the only species that can sit around a fire, invent reality, and by morning, it becomes law. We sit down and decide, this paper is now money. This patch of earth is now a border. This noise is now a national anthem, and the whole world follows. People begin to pay, to fight, to build, to give birth according to rules that didn't fall from the sky, but were spoken into being. This is unique. No other biological species creates the world by agreement. Instinct is not our operating system. Our OS is will plus imagination plus language. We don't just adapt to reality, we generate it. Every time we say, yes, this is how it is. And this isn't mysticism, it's architecture. Everything you see, culture, traditions, flags, cities, even myths, are the technical results of mental agreements. Thousands of people who once sat down and said, let's make it this way. That's how reality begins. Imagine a world where reality is not triggered by actions, but by words, not by pressing a button, but by speaking the code. You don't just name an object, you embed it in the structure of perception. Words aren't captions for reality. They are tools that build it. When the word border is spoken, walls appear, passports are issued, gates are locked. Millions of people can no longer cross what used to be just a path. When the word guilt is spoken, people can lose sleep, starve themselves, destroy their own lives, over something that didn't leave a single scratch on their body. When the word God is spoken, temples rise, icons appear, crusades are launched, and prayers echo across continents. You simply name a thing, and it gains form, meaning, and consequences. This isn't even magic. It's the architecture of human language. That's why the same event can be a catastrophe for one person and a beginning for another. Because the label changes the script. You call it a mistake and fall into shame. You call it a lesson and you grow. Language isn't a decoration for communication. It's the remote control for reality. Words become buttons. Turn on, turn off, launch, destroy, create. Moreover, language can override biology. You may be physically safe, but if you say to yourself, I'm in danger, your body will trigger panic, sweat, a racing heart, insomnia. Or the opposite, you're stuck in the mud but say, this is just a game, and suddenly you find the strength to move forward. A word can break or reinforce reality. It's field programming. And here, finally, it becomes clear. We're not just part of the matrix. We're the ones inputting the commands. Sometimes it feels like we're just observing life, going to work, getting sick, falling in love, aging. But zoom out even a little, and you'll see the scale of what humanity is already doing. We're not just participants. We've crossed the line of observation and have long been rewriting the script. Humanity is altering nature itself, literally, not metaphorically. From the wild wolf, we bred hundreds of dog breeds, from the tiniest lapdog to a massive beast heavier than a grown man. We cross species that would never meet in nature. We create hybrids, synthesize proteins, engineer resistant crops, and this is no longer chance. This is deliberate editing of nature. We've learned to rewrite genetic code. Live. Precisely. Where once we prayed for health, now we inject CRISPR and surgically correct the DNA. Artificial organs are already growing. Lab-grown tissues. Even new life forms that never existed before. Algorithms are already drawing, singing, composing symphonies and writing books indistinguishable from those by humans. We've created digital realities where entire worlds are modeled in seconds, and millions already live in them. Yes, they're still digital universes, but if we dig deeper, what exactly is the difference between a simulation and lived reality, if they both include feelings, choices, and fear? We don't just use the stage, we remodel it as we go. We're not just actors in the film. We're also the directors, the writers, and the set designers. And that's what a creator truly does. Not accept the world as it is, but rewrite it if something feels incomplete. Not because they are omnipotent, but because they can and want to change it. We are at the very beginning of this awareness. We are already creating. The only question is whether we do it consciously. Sometimes it's enough for a large group of people to simply believe, and that belief becomes physical reality. That's where the real magic begins. The one we're so used to ignoring. We call it by many names: egregores, the collective unconscious, public opinion. But it's all the same thing. When millions of minds focus on one idea, it materializes. There is no gravity behind a banking system, but if enough people believe in currency, a piece of paper becomes equivalent to a house, a car, a meal. There is no molecule of a state, but if enough people believe in a border, a fence appears, guards, passports. Once the idea of a round earth was heresy, until it appeared in textbooks. Once it seemed impossible for AI to speak, now it speaks. Once, war was unimaginable, until thousands believed their neighbor was an enemy. The field of attention isn't just emotion, it's a materialization device. When you look at something as real, you launch a process. The story begins to attract money, people, architecture, signs. We are like projectors. When focused on one spot, that spot begins to exist. We are like colliders, crashing perspectives to spark events. That's why fashion, religions, viral trends, and revolutions all work the same way. They weren't created from above. They were created by us. We are the audience that forms the stage. But the most important thing is this. If we can create fear and destruction this powerfully, we can also create unity, beauty, trust, and breakthroughs. The field is neutral. It simply amplifies whatever we pour into it. And if it contains even a drop of the divine, then maybe that's what the true creator is. Not someone up there, but the one who switches on when we start believing together. The same scene, the same street, but each person sees their own movie. For one, a crime thriller. For another, a romantic comedy. For someone else, a survival drama. Same faces. One sees a threat, another sees inspiration. Same words. Someone hears criticism, someone else hears opportunity. It seems like we're sharing space. But in truth, we're only sharing coordinates. Everything else is the genre you enter and begin to direct from within. Just like in film. You choose a style: noir, sci-fi, philosophy, melodrama. And the scene adjusts. The right characters appear. Dialogues, coincidences, even camera angles. As if reality is a platform. And your state of mind is the filter launching the storyline. And the genre isn't always pleasant. Some people live in the genre of victim, and the world offers them reasons to confirm it. Others, in the genre of hero defying the system, and even a bus becomes a symbol of resistance. Some choose observer, and everything starts playing out deeper like you're watching an art house film. This isn't just about mindset, it's a deep style of perception. Your inner genre determines what scenes will become available, what plot twists are permitted, what writers emerge from the background of life. So the question isn't, what is your fate? The question is, what is your genre? What do you want to direct? What soundtrack do you want in the background? What role are you playing and who's writing your dialogue? That's the quietest but most powerful magic. You're not just a player in reality. You're the director of its format. And everything begins to change, not when the scene changes, but when the genre does.